Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ed Nagle. I gotta wipe off the COVID.
Thanks, Tom. Before the last convention, before I was named chair, and they asked me to have a bio, and I sent it to them, and I'm like, but just say 2 sentences. I used to clean, toilets, and I own a trucking company. Because the reality is, you go to these places and they read this long bio. After that second sentence, you're already thinking about something else. So I'm like, those are 2 important things. But as Tom said, I am probably one of the greatest apologists for trucking. And for those of you who don't know what the word apologist means, it's not like offering an apology. It's a fierce defender, somebody that speaks the truth. And I had my great epiphany at my 10-year reunion, my high school reunion. And some of the people, the colleagues here have heard this, but this is really for the drivers in the room. So I went to a Catholic all-boys college prep school in Toledo, and 10 years after I hadn't seen a lot of these guys. And so I'm at this reunion, and there's engineers in the room, and a couple physicians, a couple attorneys, and they got to me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm in trucking." They looked at me like I hadn't showered in a month. And I told them, I said, "You guys don't understand. Trucking is the most honorable profession in the world, okay? A truck driver does nothing for him or herself. You're always doing something for a shipper, for a receiver, for a dispatcher, for somebody else on the road. You don't leave home on Christmas Day because you don't like your family. You haven't missed your children and grandchildren's ball games because you don't like sports. No. Your sacrifices that you have made and continue to make is what provides us the greatest standard of living in the world." Because, we used to have a saying back in the early 80s, if you got it, a truck brought it. And I'm the first one, I always mention it to everybody. Take a look around. Anything you see was on a truck at some point in time. And they take it for granted. I tell people, we vie every year between farmers and trucking for the lowest status jobs. Okay? But we're the 2 of the most important. And truly, it is the sacrifices that you make that allow all of us to have what we have. And people don't understand that. And we try vigorously to defend that and promote it. Anytime I see something in the newspaper, truck slams into house, okay, it's a pickup truck. And of course, I'll call the editor, or I'll call the newscaster and tell them, hey, this is a pickup truck. Don't sensationalize something for us negatively, okay? Well, I do that about 3 times. Then I'm just like, you stupid mother effer, because they're not getting it. All right? About 9 years ago, I was at a safety council meeting, and the highest rated person, ranked person in the company had to be there. Lets them know that, safety is important from the top down. And so this guy's going on, and what he's talking about is if you have a personal vehicle, okay, and your company asks you, hey, go to Office Max and pick up some envelopes, and if you get in an accident, it's a workman's compensation claim. It doesn't fall in your automobile insurance. And the example he was using is, so you go out in your car, you get rear-ended by a truck, and there's like 700 people here. I stand up, I raise up my hand, and I gave him 3 minutes of statistics why it wouldn't be a truck that's rear-ending a car. And he got really apologetic. He says, I will never use that example again. Okay? And that's important, because what we do is critically important. And so we thank all of you for everything you've done. I can't believe it. 330 some years of experience with the drivers that we have up for tonight. 33.5 million miles. Do you realize how, that's amazing. That's incredible. Okay? Do you realize how many trips to the sun that would make? You get a third of the way there because that's 95 million miles. But more importantly, that's 12,000 trips back and forth across the United States. That's incredible, absolutely incredible. I teach. It's called a car teens program, and so what it is, it's a driver's ed redo for teenagers who get their first accidents and their first tickets. And I'm there to promote sharing the road safely with drivers. And one of the first things I asked them, I said, raise your hand, how many cities do you know? And these 16, 17, I know Toledo, I know Sylvania, okay? And I said, my drivers, they have to know hundreds, if not thousands of cities, okay? My drivers run 100 and some thousand miles a year. And they're going through all kinds of speed limit changes, and they don't get tickets. You gotta pay attention, it's a responsibility. And just what you do, and the fact that you're here with those safe miles, that's just incredible to me. And so I can't thank you enough, and really my hat's off, and you have the highest amount of respect. You truly are the best of the best and represent what I know as the professional truck drivers. So I have the honor and privilege, and I'm probably going to get a grievance from the American Trucking Association because they give you this bio, okay, and you're supposed to read it. Well, as we talked earlier, I don't do a very good job with bios, but I wanted to introduce Sherry Garner-Brumbaugh. And Sherry had the greatest mentor. Her father, Vern, who was, next to my father and grandfather, my greatest mentor. And I miss him dearly. And Shirley took over the business after his passing. She has done a phenomenal job with the company. She is also a tireless advocate for this industry. And I couldn't be prouder to introduce my friend, Sherry.